back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about Doctor Who's The Abominable Snowmen by Marvin Haseman and Henry Lincoln, directed by Gerard Blake. And with the last episode, it was produced by someone who's not Ina Lloyd. The name escapes me, but now Ina Lloyd's back as producer. And as well, this story is missing in the BBC archives. We don't have a DVD on of it. However, episode 2 exists of this six-part adventure. So there you go. So this story introduces two big Doctor Who villains in the 60s that just went completely vanished in the 70s and the 80s and completely forgotten about until many years later. And they are the Yeti, more specifically the robot Yetis, and a creature known as the Great Intelligence. So this is their first appearance, and for those of you who've been watching the new series, this is the first appearance of of Richard E. Grant's character in those Matt Smith stories, and that serves as like a prequel to this story. So when you watch this story, knowing that I don't know. I personally, we'll get to the Snowmen later on, but there wasn't really an origin for the Great Intelligence in this story. But actually, let's get into the story because there's a lot to talk about. The Doctor and our TARDIS crew, consisting of Jamie and Victoria, land in Tibet. Hooray! My favourite place. If anybody knows me, they know that I'm obsessed with Tibet. Not really the place, but just the name. I just use it in just the stupidest conversations and stuff. I'll just mention it. Or when I make up a story or something, I always mention someone's from Tibet. And for those of you who are wondering, who know me, who were wondering where I get that obsession with Tibet, it's from The Abominable Snowman, the Doctor Who story from 1967. So there's the origin of that. But anyway, so the Doctor has actually been here before, and he's here to retrieve, to bring back a bell that he'd taken in his previous adventures. It's not explained which incarnation it is, whether it was the second or the first. However, later on the characters recognise the Doctor by his face. So I'm seeing as Jamie doesn't have any knowledge of this. This must mean that there is a hidden story somewhere that takes place between Power of the Daleks and the Highlanders, where the Doctor was previously in Tibet. But so here we get a lovely. The setting of this story has a lot of mountain-y setting. It was filmed in Wales. Hooray! Everybody loves Wales, and I really like the cinematography in this story with the mountains. It's very, very gloomy. There's an 8mm footage of it of behind the scenes stuff in colour, and it gives a hugely different impression when you see it in colour in black and white. In colour, it's really green, and everything, all the grass stands out from the characters and the costumes. But in the black and white cinematography, there's just something a bit more eerie, a bit more death-like about the mountains, which I prefer. If there's one story that does not need to be colorized, it's The Abominable Snowman, in my opinion. Just going off by the footage of the behind the scenes of the 8mm footage, which you can find on YouTube, I believe. So, I watched it on YouTube. What am I doing, you idiot? Here, like I said, in Doctor Who, they kind of split the stories and stuff. So here the Doctor goes to a Tibetan monastery where he meets a bunch of monks, where he's retrieving the thing. However, he gets this guy accuses him of attacking him as he was attacked by a furry creature in the night, and he sees the Doctor wearing a furry coat in his story. And we get some conflict there, and it's not as interesting because we know that the Doctor didn't do it, clearly. But it's more of how will the Doctor get out of this? And obviously because Jamie and Victoria are doing something else, we know that they are going to come on and save him later on. But Jamie and Victoria, they go into like a little cave, and you see like a pyramid of these metal balls, and whilst they're there, they get attacked by a Yeti, which they don't know at the moment they're robots. And I really like their part of the story in this part. It leads up a lot of mystery and build up, like what are these ball things? Why are the Yeti coming in the cave to trying to protect her and stuff? So I think it does that very well. And then after our TARDIS crew intertwine again back at the monastery, and everything explains how the Doctor obviously didn't attack that guy, and the monks, they have like a sort of like leader character that nobody apart from this one monk sees, and they explain how the Yetis were once peaceful, but then all of a sudden they've been attacking everybody and killing a few people. And it's a very great mystery, it very builds up very well, and the whole atmosphere of this like Tibetan with these monks and stuff, it really puts like a very Eastern feel to it. And you get a lot of great moments where one of my favourite scenes is that they're planning to capture one of the Yetis, and Jamie comes up with an idea, and then the Doctor looks really nervous, and he's like, come along, Victoria, let Jamie do his business. And Jamie's like, what, you're just going to leave me here? But yeah, and so the story then revolves around the mystery of these balls. That sounded really wrong. And these Yetis attacking, and there's also this third element with the monastery leader who's out of sight. And there's a lot of great moments where you got this one character who can talk to the master, not the master, but the master of the monastery. And there's scenes where he's talking to him, and it's like he's like in an empty room, and you hear that like deep whispering voice, like echoes throughout the room, and the mystery, the build up, this godlike creature works enormously well. If there's one thing I do have to complain about the story, is that it is a bit too long. In this season, which started off in the Tomb of the Cybermen, Tomb was actually the only 4-part story, and each story is a 6-parter. I don't know why they've set it up like that. Later on in the series, the norm would be a bunch of 4-parters and then finish it with a 6-parter. And you might have like 2-parters here and there. But it depends on which story. I mean, a lot of people find that classic Doctor Who kind of drags a lot, especially when you've got like 6 parts or 7 parts. I personally disagree. I find a lot of Doctor Who stories pace themselves very well. I think it's just the way the television was made back then. Storytelling methods are very different from how we watch TV today, and how today's TV is really quick paced, as obviously by how the new series has a lot of 1-parters, and then sometimes you get 2s and 3s. So I don't personally agree with the whole classic Doctor Who are very slow, but this one it does kind of drag a bit, but in a good way. It builds up on this like slow atmosphere that like this godlike creature is controlling everything, and all of our characters are just pawns in this big chess piece. There's even bits where you see like a chess piece, and our Yetis are being controlled by these like chess pieces. So I think it's slow paced intentionally, but it is important to note that it is slow paced. So I think that this story might not be for everyone, but I personally really enjoyed it. Though, like I said, it is a bit too. It might cut an episode down. It might have been a better if it was a 5-parter. Who knows? And so we get a lot of moments where we have a conflict between certain monks, where some of them are like, should sacrifice the not sacrifice. We should see if the Yetis will attack the doctor or take him prisoner because he's probably the one controlling these Yetis. And there's other monks that are like, no, we should help them. They've been nice and kind to us. And this conflict kind of starts off at the beginning. However, when the doctor gives the bell and gives it to one of the monks, he gives it to the one who can talk to the master of the monastery, and then they discuss. Now, it's here that it's revealed to us as an audience member that he is the villain, because he's just got like a really threatening presence, and he discovers that like, right, the doctor's here, he's probably going to mess up his plans. So his plan is just treat the doctor nicely as possible and then just hope that he leaves before his plan starts out. That is the best villain plan in the show. Just hope that, because like a lot of times it's like the doctor kind of interferes. We're gonna have to kill him or stop him or something, and then the doctor gets curious and has to stay. But here the villain is like, right, let's keep it quiet, and hopefully he goes away and doesn't notice anything, which I found pretty funny. But it does become a problem later on as it's revealed that one of these spheres, these balls, are being kept in a monastery as Jamie took one of them from the mountain cave, and so he has to kind of get involved really quick by sending the Yetis into the monastery. However, one gets kidnapped, and it's revealed here that these Yetis are robots. Now, I wouldn't mind it if they were normal Yetis being controlled, but it's Doctor Who. It's Yetis. No, they're robot Yetis, like Pyramid of Mars, where it's like it's mummies. No, it's robot mummies. That kind of cliche, but it really works. How it's like these robots are basically just like a normal world representation of this godlike creature who can do far more stuff, and it's revealed that these orbs are controlled by what is called the Great Intelligence, which we talked about. And what he is he's this disembodied voice. He has no body, he has no physical form. And what he plans to do is basically become a sentient mountain. Oh, spoilers, by the way, that doesn't actually happen until the last episode. You don't really know about it. So he plans to become a sentient mountain. And this has the consequences of almost destroying the world. So obviously we're trying to stop him, and this thing has no remorse and stuff. So it's a bit silly, but it works really well how the way it's shot and the way the pictures show it anyway, because we don't have thing, but the script as well, as we get Victoria getting mind controlled, and there's a great bit where she won't respond to anyone except for the doctor. And whenever the doctor speaks, she's like, "Doctor, we need to get away from you. Please, get me away." And then every time the doctor opens his mouth, basically, she repeats that over and over again. It's very creepy, very bizarre. So, yeah, and then Doctor, a few monks, and Travis, the guy who believed the doctor who attacked him, but then he finds out later that it wasn't him. They kind of have to team up to take down the Great Intelligence. And we get, there's a lot of... Let's talk about the Yetis. The Yetis are very silly looking, in my opinion. Look how how chubby and lovable they are. You just see them and you just want to hug them. That's not threatening at all. But it's more the conviction of the actors. A big point in classic Doctor Who is because it's like 60s, 70s, 80s cheap BBC thing. A lot of the effects are not really convincing. Like you can tell that like they're a piece of cardboard or tin foil put together. But it's the conviction of the actors that really sells the story. And here it is Jamie and Victoria. They get some very great moments here where you can definitely feel like they're convicted to the story and how stuff. So I got props to that. Oh, here's a fun fact. The guy who plays Travis is the father of the girl who plays Victoria. So that's a nice neat little fact there. So then we get our big final climax where the Doctor meets up with the master of the monastery, and it turns out that this guy was one of the monks when the Doctor was originally there. However, that in Earth terms was 300 years ago, and he's like this shelled up like old man, and he basically explains that as a monk he basically learned to like transcend the astral plane, so he can like send his mind through like anywhere through space. And when he did that, he got in contact with the Great Intelligence, which is just like this disembodied sentient being with no physical form of its own. And this thing basically combined their sentence together, because like when he speaks it's sometimes him, but it's something like him plus the Great Intelligence, as if like they're one person. And this creature has been keeping him alive, and this creature, all it wants to do is have a physical form. It wants to be somebody, and so it's been summoning these yetis to try and plant bits of itself into this mountain so it can basically control everything. But the Doctor has to stop him, obviously, and there's a great moment where the Doctor like confronts him, and it reminds me a lot of do you know in that fourth Doctor story where he meets Sutek, and the first thing he does is like mind control him, and the Doctor's at his mercy on the floor screaming in pain. Reminds me a lot like that. And the Doctor and this guy have like a mental battle, and whilst this is going on, as he's distracted, Jamie goes into like a computer room and smashes everything to try and destroy the disembodiment. And then that's how our story ends. So, you know, it's got a very great moments. I think this story is a very great, well-written Doctor Who story. However, it's a bit slow. I think it could have been cut down one episode. But however, the atmosphere is a key selling point in this story. So, you know, you might lose something if you cut it down to 5 parts. I don't know. Maybe we should have like a fan edit. And B, something I didn't really explain very well, or at all until now, is that because they deal with this like higher consciousness being, a lot of it doesn't make much sense in terms of his plan. It's still a great, well-written story. Our characters are likeable enough that you don't want to see anything bad happen to them. The story moves at the story plot points keep coming to us, and we learn bits every bit. And you know, but however, the actual plan itself, when you think about it, doesn't make any sense. What, he wants to become a sentient mountain? That's it. He could have done that and not use the Yetis to do that. You didn't need to get involved with the monks and stuff. So there you go. I don't know. But you know, apart from that, it's actually a very great, well-written story. I highly recommend it if you don't mind a more slower-paced story. So there you go. I think I finished everything I can say about this story. So join me next time when we get introduced to another big Doctor Who monster. Yeah, this season has a lot of iconic villains. The Cybermen, the Yetis, and now the next story as we go delving deep into the ice of the Ice Warriors. So join me next time in the Doctor Who Marathon. See you then.